"You are too ambitious," he said. March 1985. My second job, 3 months after I came back from college. When the post was advertised, it was of an assistant tours manager. Now, that's a very big word, assistant tours manager. He was the manager of a tour company called Highways Tours and Safaris. 1985, there are a lot of millennials here. Anyway, so I rush to a typing school, and I say I want to learn how to type. And I shocked my tutor when I said I did not need to sit for an exam, I did not need a certificate, I just needed to know how to type. At the end of the week, I was at 96 words per minute. May I say that generally it's 40 words per minute. I got the job. So, but there's a big but. The but is, I was typing vouchers from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. That's all I was doing. I was an assistant tours manager, and I was typing vouchers. So 3 weeks on, my patience has run out. For those who, many of in the room may know me, I'm not a very patient person. So anyway, I go up and I say, I'd like to see the manager. I go up to him and I said, "Is this all I'm going to be doing?" And he said, "Yes." "And I have got an opportunity to learn anything else?" He goes, "No." So I said, "Okay, then I'm going to go look for something else to do." And he said, "Okay." And then he said, "Don't you want your salary?" And I said, "No, buy yourself a gift." And I walked out. Okay, 3 weeks. I walked out and I thought, as I left, was that good or bad? It bothered me for a few days, but then life moved on. Next chapter. 4 years on, I'm 24 and I'm headhunted by a very large organization to run their Mombasa office. I was chuffed, to say the least. 24. Wow, and that's where I got my first perks. I got a dedicated office, I got a car, and I got a medical cover. Yeah, and I was like, I was done. I spent 5 wonderful years there. Superb environment. I grew the company. Great achievements. Lots of highs, many lows, and a lot of lessons too. And then came the turning point. November 1993, I'm seated in the boardroom of our headquarters, Nairobi. I'm surrounded by big bellies, big egos. You've guessed it right. I'm the only woman in that room. And I'm thinking, gosh, they're even going to ask us how much this big costs. And I thought, what am I doing here? This is a cemented jungle purely of profits and losses. That's what it was. And you see, ladies and gentlemen, for me, tourism is about people, it's about experiences. I always dreamt of a humane environment. I wanted to engage people. I wanted to showcase my beautiful Africa. I wanted to create life-impacting journeys where they would meet people that would eventually become really beautiful relationships. These tourists were not just numbers on a manifest for me. I wanted them to live the real Africa, and I knew it was not happening here. So I went back to my office and I wrote my resignation letter. But there's another underlying reason I want to share with you why I was pushed to write that letter. Some months before, we had been imposed a foreign boss. And I'm going to say very simple words. He was a shady man. He looked at women like toys. I didn't like the way he treated his assistant and all the women in our department. And I knew I did not want to be a part of that environment. Now, there are a lot of youth here, and please don't take the impetuous decision I took that half an hour by writing the resignation, because let me tell you, when I wrote that resignation, I did not know what I was going to do, where was I going to go, and where the next paycheck was coming from. I didn't know that. But I knew that I didn't want to be here. Another chapter turns. January 1994, my baby, the company that I wanted, African Quest Safaris, is born. It's registered. And here I want to say twaweza. We. It's the we, it's the twa. It's not mimi, sisi, wewe. It's twaweza. That we factor is so crucial in everything we do because we cannot achieve alone. It is a collective thing. When I started African Quest Safaris, Quest, I don't know how many of you know this, means search for excellence, and I stand for that. I wanted that as a name. It had to be either way, I wanted it in there. And then, what's a name without a logo? So, the only name that pops in my head when I'm looking for my logo is Jean-Claude, an acclaimed designer in Paris whom I met when he had visited Kenya. We'd become friends. And I said to him, I needed a logo. One phone call, 3 days later, 6 outstanding concepts. I choose one, and he gives it to me with his compliments. It was a lot of struggles. It just didn't happen. You see, ladies and gentlemen, I was a small girl in a big man's world. It was all about the big sharks, and here I was, this small fish trying to swim in that and creating a lot of ripples. I was supported enormously by my family. The first 3 months of my company, I was a one-woman show, working from home, and my dear mother would be there ensuring that I have my meals on time and that I have my precious tea breaks, which I love so much. My mother never got an opportunity to finish her education. She married early. But she instilled in us the best values of life, those of patience, humility, hard work, and honesty. She told us then, and she continues to remind us today, that a penny earned honestly goes much further than a pound of dishonesty. So, as my company grew, my dad, who is in the room, you can say hello to him later, a retired accountant, made sure that my books were clean. But I want to talk about relationships because it's the we factor. April 1996, I'm at Moi International Airport, it's 9 p.m. I'm about to receive my first charter load of 140 clients. Now, 4 months old. Let me tell you, even the most established company can only dream of that moment, of that opportunity. I'm in the parking lot and I'm checking if all the vehicles are there to ferry these passengers to the hotels. And my heart sinks, it literally sinks. I'm missing 2 coaches. 2 40-seater coaches are not there. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do? Quick thinking I've always been blessed with. I look around, I see one of the Kenya Airways staff buses pass me, and I rush to the Kenya Airways office. I see a familiar face. I say to George, I need help. And he goes like, he always calls me Taz. Taz, what? I said, I need 2 coaches. He said, 15 minutes, they'll be in the parking lot. 15 minutes. If those 15 minutes hadn't happened, let me tell you, I would have lost the complete trust and faith of my newfound client. I would have had 80 passengers screaming their heads down on me, and I would have almost killed my newborn baby. George came through for me. Relationships. You see, it is my unfaltering commitment to my industry, the support of my family that grew. If I am who I am today, it's thanks to my family, to my team at AQS that grew me, and the friends that I've made along this entire journey. Because in 2007, I was awarded Coast Woman Entrepreneur of the Year. In the same year, Eve, National Woman Entrepreneur of the Year. And the following year, I was the first woman to receive the Head of State commendation for my contribution to Kenya's tourism. That was and still is a very big thing for this Mombasa girl who had an ambitious streak and very big dreams. But my ambitions were fueled by my family, my friends, and my team at AQS. Ladies and gentlemen, life is about these relationships. I can stand here today proudly and tell you, I have a friend in every continent. In some I have 2, 10, 15. Because relationships is what makes us. And I believe relationships are like colors. They are primary, secondary, and tertiary. And a mix of 2 primaries makes 1 secondary. A mix of a primary and a secondary makes a tertiary. There's an interconnect. Life would be extremely boring, colorless. Ladies and gentlemen, make it bright. Twaweza.